Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Dean Tinney coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with another explication request. This is Series 65 and 66. Equity indexed annuities, definitely high probability you'll encounter an equity indexed annuity on your 65, 66 exam. The big thing is it's not a security. That's testable. And I'll tell you why, because we're going to have no risk of principal on the reset. So that's our first test question. And then understanding there's no such thing as a negative reset. It's never going to go backwards. Anyways, here's the particulars of the question that somebody wants some help on. So the customer invests $100,000 in equity indexed annuities. It's tied to the Standard & Poor's 500. It has a 90% participation rate. Looks like I got a typo there. So that means if the S&P goes up 20%, the max participation would be 90% of that, or 18%. Again, I don't think you're going to have to do the math. As is always the case with test prep vendors as it relates to 65, 66, all of them go way overboard on making you do math. Just had a debrief the other day. Guy used the calculator once, and the math you get is pretty straightforward. Current yield, working capital, basic arithmetic. Certainly not going to have to do math on this, but I'm going to show it to you. 15% cap. So the insurance company is saying, we're only going to pay you 90% of what the index does. And if that's more than 50%, that's going to be the cap or ceiling on that. And then it has a 3% floor. Here, the insurance company is saying, even if there's negative performance, we'll make sure you always get a minimum of 3. So that's what that means in plain English. And then they give us some returns. And so the first return they give us is year 1. And let's see, now it's not, I forget what I got to do here. So here's our years. They give us 3 years of the S&P 500, year 1, year 2, and year 3. Year 1, they tell us that the S&P went up 20%. Well, now remember, that would be, 20% of 100 would mean they're going to credit you for 120 grand. But remember, the max was 90% of that. 90%, that's 18 grand. But remember, they said there's a 15% cap. And so you've hit the cap or ceiling there. And so the first reset is going to be $115,000. And then it says in year 2, the S&P returned -5. This is the biggest test issue for you. There is no negative reset. So even if this didn't have a 3% floor, that 115 never is a lesser amount. And since your principal is not at risk, that's why this is not a security. Year 2, -5. And remember, we said we'd give you a minimum. The insurance company is 3. So now we can times that by either 3% and add it, or me, to team my math simple, I'm going to times it by 103%, that 115, and that will be my new credit amount, which is 118,450. The way I got that is I took the 115,000, I either times it by 3 or 103% if I want to get the number. Again, you're not going to have to do the math. Doesn't matter whether this is a -5 or -10, doesn't matter. There's never a negative reset. So since we went down 10%, it's the 3% floor the insurance company has promised to pay you as a minimum. And so again, we're going to times it by either 3% and add it, or again, I'm lazy, I'm going to times by 103%. And so at the end of year 3, it would be approximately $122,004. Okay, so now the test question is, what is approximately the principal value at the end of year 3? We have answered that question. The answer to that question is 122,000. Looks like I got a typo. That should be a 4 and not a 6. And so that is our answer. Let me just fix that. Boom. It's this number right here. There's our answer. All right, so let's review. Test question. Are you going to encounter on your 65, 66 a equity indexed annuity question? You are. The major thing, high probability you get tested on, is no negative reset. So this is a little overkill. And then no, it's not a security. It's an insurance product. It's what we call in the test a non-securities product. You don't need to be registered to sell securities to offer this to people. You'd have to be licensed as an insurance. A lot of insurance agents sell these and they don't have sixes, they don't have sevens. Anyways, $100,000 in equity indexed annuities tied to the S&P 500, 90% participation rate, 15% cap, 3% floor. They show you the performance of the S&P. There's our performance. And then we have to figure out this. With the cap, we hit the cap there because that 15% cap is less than 90% of the 20, right? So that's 115. There's no negative reset. That's the big test issue. The insurance promised you at least a 3% return when they reset or credit on that 115. That brings it to 118,450. The insurance company promised you a minimum of 3% credit on the adjustment to that deposit. And so now it's 122.04. And the answer is, what is the principal value? Approximately at the end of year 3, and it's 122,004. Remember, inch by inch, your 65 is a cent. Inch by inch, your series 60 cents is a cent. And yard by yard, your 65, 66 is hard. I will see you for the next explication request.